Drew, I need your help.
What?
I'm freaking out here. What's the difference between 2D and 3D?
Well, now that you mention it, I don't know either. I'll call Nintendo.
Why Nintendo?
Nintendo has the answer to everything.
One call to Nintendo later.
I just called Nintendo.
What'd they say?
Said I called the wrong people, so they forwarded me to a geometrist. He told me what different dimensions are. But from my previous knowledge, I decided to play 3D World. And now I'm confused.
Come on, now we have more problems.
Okay, you know what? To find out the answer, I'll talk about it. Meantime, I'm kind of concerned about how I classify this game. So I don't think it's 255D, but I think it's this. I mean, that's the most logical answer. Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna play 3D Land in the future.
Like, how far in the future?
Definitely not today.
So you mean I'll have to continue wondering what dimensions 3D World and 3D Land are?
Yes.
No! Drew.
What?
Remember last year when we said eventually we'd talk about Super Mario 3D Land, found out the difference between 2D and 3D?
Dre, I don't get it. How do you know almost everything about science and physics, but you don't know how to classify different dimensions?
Well, I was kind of born out of a test tube with a lot of the information I know now, which is still growing, but I specifically never learned the difference in dimensions.
That is sad.
Hey, don't act like you didn't know either.
Okay, last year I didn't know because there were some things I forgot. It was a tough week. You guys had just moved in and I was focusing on that. That was really tough.
Absolutely dog crap excuse.
Shut up, you don't even know what we're talking about.
Well, anyway, can we just talk about 3D Land so I can study what you say and get information out of it?
Sure, man, whatever the heck you said.
Nintendo 3DS, everybody's favorite handheld. Look at this thing. It has a home menu that's better than the Wii's.
Fight me. Regardless, I am standing by my opinion.
A 3D mode that people use, I don't know, a pretty good lineup of games, 70 million units sold, a port of Devil's Game, but it wasn't always like this. It took Nintendo quite a bit to get the 3DS to be the heavy hitter that it ended up being. Rewinding all the way back to the launch of the system in 2011, it was bare bones, consisting of yet another port of Rayman 2, Nintendogs, again.
I don't know, man. I'm not sold.
This time it has cats.
I'm leaving my wallet outside your office, Nintendo. You deserve it.
Asphalt 3D, a mobile game, so it's automatically unjustified. Pilot Wings Resort, basically the Wii Sports Resort Flyver mode, but with a mission mode and a jetpack and a hang glider, which is fun, but bare bones, and there's not much to it. And Steel Diver. When has anybody on Earth ever said,
I'm gonna play Steel Diver?
yeah, this wasn't really worth the $250, was it? Yeah, it was just a launch, and yeah, there were a lot of titles, but come on, there was a lot more quantity than quality. And for a while, owning a 3DS was kind of worthless. Like, heck, there wasn't even that many games to play for most of the year. But the saving grace of the 3DS was a price cut to $170, and at the end of the year, a new Mario Kart and a new 3D Mario. And the latter is what we're discussing today, Super Mario 3D Land. I played and beat this game a couple years ago. I thought it was pretty good, but nothing mind-blowing. And that seems to be a shared sentiment between the general public, because this game is rarely mentioned comparative to other games in the series, especially compared to its sequel. Now, how about we not let that affect our opinion on this game? Because just because it isn't as popular as other 3D Mario games, doesn't mean it's automatically bad. In fact, this game is actually really good when you look at it in the way that it was intended, you know, as a 3D Mario game on a handheld, made to be played on the go. So the player might turn on the game for a few minutes and play a couple levels, then turn it back off. So if your main criticism is that it isn't as big as a 3D Mario normally is, well, I mean, that's kinda silly. But I digress, let's get to the game. So let's begin by starting the game's story.
You're expecting something grandiose and well-written? This is a Mario storyline. It's the exact same story! Bowser kidnaps Peach. What do you expect this time? The Chinese government to kidnap Peach? No! You idiot!
I would pay huge amounts of money to see Mario fight the Chinese government.
Yeah, I'm leaving my pitch for that to be the next Mario game out here too.
But this time, Bowser gives you letters every time you move to the next world to have a sense of story progression in some sense, but it's not much. So like its sequel, this game has a big main power-up that's placed in various places throughout the game, and is plastered all over the marketing for it. That's right, the Tanuki suit from Mario 3. This was around the time that there was a lot of nostalgia for games in the 80s and 90s, and how it was so much better than the slop that's coming out today. So Nintendo gave people the regular Tanuki power-up in New Super Mario Bros. 2, and the suit version in Super Mario 3D Land. And yeah, it's definitely different from how it is in Mario 3. Instead of flying continuously in the air for a short amount of time by gradually building up speed, Mario jumps in the air and hovers, which is still cool. It's a fun power-up to use, but definitely not the same power-up as 3. But hey, does that really matter? I mean, to a nerd in his 40s who's a diehard fan that doesn't like change, it does, but to me, and most other people, not really. There's also a variant that makes you invincible if you die too much, which I'll say is a good enough compromise to make the level a slight bit easier for people who are not doing good at it. But if you die even more than that, you can just skip the level. You don't even gotta try, which is sort of lame. Even lamer than Galaxy 2, where it would just play the level for you. At least I had something to watch, I guess. But no, you can just skip the entire level. But it's really only if you die a lot of times, so I've never actually gotten to experience the joy of this power-up. Oh no, I can't believe what I missed out on. In terms of other power-ups, we have the Fire Flower, of course, it's a mainstay, and the Boomerang power-up. It's where you fire a boomerang, which is kind of cool, but is kind of copy and pasted from the Fire Flower because it does the exact same thing, just with a boomerang instead of the Fire Flower, so, you know, it comes back. But hey, it does get the job done, I guess. Oh wait, I forgot. There's a version of the Tanuki suit that turns into a statue. Oh yeah, there's a version of the Tanuki suit that turns into a statue. Next, yes, there is a 3D mode. This mode in-game is used to enhance the experience, and I wouldn't know because I hardly care. I barely ever used it. People do say that it does in fact make the experience better, but it's really one of the only games on 3DS to do so. Like, Nintendo really poured tons of money into a feature like 2 people used. Now, what about the gameplay? Well, I don't like repeating myself often, and I did kind of explain how it played in its sequel, and it's pretty much the exact same here, but I'll be civil and explain it again. Yes, you're welcome.
We didn't thank you.
So this game plays like an in-between of 3D Mario and 2D Mario, in the sense that you have 3D Mario moves like long jumping, and you have slightly more directions, and it plays like 2D Mario in the sense that it's a linear path from start to finish. Now, I'm not talking about Galaxy's linear design, where yes, it was linear, but it still gave you a lot of openness to explore. No, I'm talking the original 2D Mario style, where you had to go for the level until you get to the flagpole. And it's fine, and there's definitely potential to use this form factor in an actual smart way. Unlike having stars in most 3D Mario games, you collect star coins, which are introduced in the new Super games, and prior to this game were introduced to 3D Mario and Galaxy 2 with a side unlockable to the actual stars. But in this game, it fully replaces them, as you actually need star coins to proceed into the next level in some places, similar to how you had to get enough stars to progress in other 3D Mario games. It's a fine enough replacement, and a lot more convenient to collect, and lower stake to collect, because 3 of them are just scattered around the level. It's more so a system where you can collect all of the star coins, but it will still allow you to beat the level without having done so. As opposed to other 3D Mario games where collecting the star is the main goal of the level. And yes, as I said, it's required to have a certain amount to get to the next world in some places, but having it not boot you back to the hub world every time you collect one of these makes it speed up the game considerably, and really adds to the more pick-and-play experience by making it more fast-paced, which is really good for a handheld experience. Why the heck did I say experience twice in that sentence? That was really redundant. Now, I've been blabbing on about the collectibles and the power-ups. Now, what about the gosh darn levels? Well, there are 8 worlds in total, each level having gimmicks that are either old or new, most of which being old. I don't know, there's a lot of ideas used from Galaxy or other Marios more than often, and it kind of gets old at times, where the themes of levels are themes that we've seen before, like desert, snow, plain grass, underground, and water, that, yes, can be good, but kind of unmemorable. Like, 3D World can have some forgettable levels, but with this game, off the top of my head, if you ask me to give the name or description of a level, I may be able to give a description of the first one and fragments of other levels, but that's kind of it. There are also special sections of where you go into pipe or under this cloud, and some of them are kind of copied and pasted, such as the 3D puzzles in the cloud stages. Like, they're very similar each time. And a lot of this game is painfully easy. Like, you can complete this game pretty quickly if you wanted to. But despite all of that, it's still really fun. Yes, it may reuse ideas, but a lot of these ideas are used in really clever ways in each level. Some of my favorite levels are the ones with the flip switches. I don't know why, they're just really fun to me. There are levels with these platforms that keep going up, which is really fun. It can get really hectic at times. This spinning block level is also fun, where I had to get to the next block at the right time to avoid falling. Because I'm a big enjoyer of Beat Block Skyway from 3D World, you know I love this one. It has a similar theme where you have to let all the blocks be filled in, and you have to jump at the right time to avoid falling. And I just love this one. It is borderline perfect, whether it be the idea of it and execution in general, or just the general atmosphere of the level. And the clock levels are also really good, whether it be these moving platforms, gears, a little maze section where you have to avoid these moles. It's both a really immersive atmosphere and theme for a level, and really challenging too. The platforming in most levels is just super fun, and even if it's easy, it's just fun to complete level after level. And which is why you can't judge this game the same as Super Mario 64 or Galaxy, because they're full-blown big boy console games. This is a system that fits into my palms I can play anywhere, so I can just play a few levels and then just put it back up. And I feel like that's the main complaint that people had for 3D World on Wii U, is that you couldn't do that. There are also boss levels, some containing Boom Boom or Pom Pom or Bowser. The Boom Boom and Pom Pom levels are not challenging at all, they're both really easy boss fights that involve head bonking in some way, that's it. It gets slightly challenging when you have to fight both at the same time, but it's still not anything special. These are the airship parts of each level, which is another form of Mario 3 inspiration. They are all very repetitive and samey, that's all I have to really say. Now let's go over the Bowser fights. You get to this bridge and get to the end of the bridge and get to a button which kills Bowser. It's a pretty tedious and repetitive task. And on the last one you have to do the same thing but with a little more challenge. But actually no, this isn't the last one because Nintendo does that classic fake out thing where you think the game's about to end but nope. Because we have one final Tail Bowser fight, and this one is really tense. You have to get across falling platforms while Bowser chases you and does things such as spit fireballs or even go Donkey Kong mode and use barrels. This is a great use of the format, and is the best boss fight in the game, no doubt. So yeah, that was 3D Land. While it has its downsides, most of those are because it's on handheld, and even if it's quick and easy, it's still a lot of fun bringing old and new ideas to the table in a really engaging way. All on just a little tiny device you can put in your pocket.
So, you got results? Yeah! I got answers. It's a mix between 2D and 3D. That's it. That's literally it. It's just 2.5D. 2D is flat, and 3D adds another axis.
Oh my god. You're right.
Oh no, really?
Well, despite your sarcasm, thanks.
It was my pleasure to give out common knowledge to a scientist who should know this already.
If you're gonna act like that, then bye.
Well, okay, now that's finally done.
So I guess you're not gonna tell him that Bowser's Fury is fully 3D.
Really? Now I need to know more.
Oh god, Siri, do you realize what you just done?
Ha 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 ha.
No, I like the game, but since you're so hungry for info, we're doing it next year.
No, why? This has been on the back burner for too long. I must know now.
In a year.
Fine.
Siri, you need to learn when to shut your mouth sometimes.
I could do that, but I'll be bored.
Oh my god.